Good morning, everyone, and welcome to class. Let's start with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Shaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Master, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. We ask thy blessings on our satsang. May we feel thy presence within and all around us. We are thine, be thou ours. Om Shanti, Shanti. Today's topic is God in Nature, and we'll start with a song and then a video clip of Swami Kriyanandaji on this topic. Welcome again, friends.
O devas of woodland, of mountain and field, come shower on us blessings and light. The wonders that nature befriended can yield, reveal to our hearing and sight. Your melodies whispering joy on the air affirm that God's everywhere. O devas of woodland, of mountain and field, be with us in blessing this night.
Master defined willpower as desire plus feeling directed toward fulfillment. People who just can feel, apart from the fact that most of them don't feel right, but if they do, it still isn't enough. Passively to perceive is not what this age is all about. I'm not saying it's wrong in itself, but the energy of this age, the vibration of this age, is an impulse toward a new kind of achievement that includes the feelings of the heart. And that's why the arts are so important. Feeling begins in the heart. Feeling needs to be directed toward the point between the eyebrows, beyond the intellect. It needs to be directed through the intellect, however. As Yogananda said, that devotion needs to be kept in a state of reason, or it becomes emotional. It's absolutely wonderful. In the recent Clarity magazine, Ken Atwell wrote a beautiful article, very well written and very well done, on the life of Luther Burbank, in which he felt the flowers. He had an uncanny ability to feel which flower would flourish and which wouldn't. He would go down a line of vegetables and say, keep this one, destroy this, keep this, destroy that. And out of a lot of them, he would keep a few and throw the rest out. And a friend of his said, well, how do you know? He said, I'd rather than see these destroyed. Let me have them. I'll try to do something with them. So he took them and planted them. They didn't grow. Whereas the ones Burbank had said would grow, did grow. Well, this was, of course, the great objection of scientists to Luther Burbank's work. They couldn't replicate it. He had more than just analytical ability. He could commune with the flowers. He could feel something. Now, that's something you can't get in school. And true creativity of any kind, true artistry, you can't get it in school. How many thousands of graduates are there from art school every year, and how few go on to become good artists, what to speak of great ones? And most of the great ones never even bother to learn, because the real understanding comes from inside.
Welcome again, everybody. I'd like to start with some quotes, and today's topic is God and nature. I'm going to talk more about springtime here at Ananda and the tulips, but I'd like to start with a few quotes on flowers. The earth laughs in flowers. That's from Emerson. I perhaps owe having become a painter to flowers, Claude Monet said. Flowers are the smiles of God's goodness, Saint Teresa of Lisieux. Then Saint Francis of Assisi. Flowers are the alphabets of angels, whereby they write on the hills and fields mysterious truths. And then from Tagore, the same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. And then Master wrote, in the flowers and blossoms, with their fragrance and their colorful quilts of petals, God smiles invitingly, as if to tell us, remember me. And finally, Yoganandaji says, God uses the flowers to say, I love you. And then research on the brain about flowers. Research has shown that having beautiful blossoms around triggers happiness, happy emotions, and helps lift spirits of depression and anxiety, whether it's in an outdoor garden or in your home or going to visit a botanical garden. Simply being around flowers can lift our spirits, increase happy emotions, improve social behavior, and encourage feelings of satisfaction. Finally, overall, flowers have a powerful influence on the brain, promoting positive emotions, improving cognitive function, and contributing to overall well-being, whether through sight, smell, or touch. The presence of flowers can have an overall effect on our mental health and the quality of our life. And then from the new path, one day we were moving a delicate but rather heavy tropical plant into position. Our handling, this is Swamiji speaking, of it must have been rough, for Master cried out, be careful what you're doing. Can't you feel? It's alive. Not only people and animals, but even plants seemed to respond to his feelings for them. His gardens flourished. One disciple told of watching one day when what she called a rose devotee, which kept turning in its vase to face Master as he moved about the room. When he was sitting in his chair, she noted that the rose was facing him. Twice, however, when he was called to the door, she noted the rose facing in that direction. Sir, she finally said, you have a new devotee. Isn't that wonderful? And it's so important to realize that God is all around us in nature. Many people rarely even notice, don't go out to natural places. And you think of all the beautiful places to go to. I was brought up in Los Angeles, in a big city, and where we always would go out to just get out of the traffic and the noise and all the people as we get to the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. We get to the beach and sit out there and watch the waves and feel the wind and sit on the sand. And you think of all the places that people enjoy going to in the ocean or a lake or the mountains or many different, a forest, a garden, the park across the street, many different places that we get rejuvenated. We feel cleansed somehow by being in nature. We feel I was looking here at Ananda Village at night. You see the stars. It's just so wonderful. And as I was coming over here, there was a little robin, and he was just sitting on the fence, and my friends were coming to pick me up, and he was just whistling away, and I started whistling too, and he whistled back. We went back and forth, and I saw a little squirrel running by, and I mean, it's just so much going on. And if we just say, no, I got to go to work. No, I got to go. We don't enjoy. Divine Mother's given herself as love all around us. And I was remembering the wonderful places I've had the chance to go to. And in India, I've been to Kanha Wildlife Reserve, and also Pench, and then I've been to Niagara Falls, and I've been to in America and various wonderful places, Yosemite Park and the Grand Canyon, and then in South Africa and the Victoria Falls and the Kruger Park. And I love it because it's so healing and it's so much a part of who we are. And when we just sit in the house, turn on the television, and just watch a movie with animals in it, it just doesn't do the same thing. And so the place I'm enjoying the most right now, as you can imagine, is our spiritual home, and that's at Ananda Village. And I'm living at the Crystal Hermitage in the midst of 21,000 tulips. I'm staying there. And that's the place I enjoy the most. There's all kinds of people coming, and but more than people coming, I just want to say I think there's spirits there, there's devas there, there's high energy, there's just maybe the masters are visiting there. There's so much high energy there that it just bathes you in peace, in joy, in love. Now, I'll tell you a bit about the gardens because they were started many years back. And Swamiji, I think Swami Kriyanandaji, he wanted to give an experience that you don't have to believe in God. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to hear a sermon. Just come and just enjoy Divine Mother's love. And people don't really know what we're doing here, but thousands of people come. So Swamiji, he'd been going to Holland, seeing the tulip fields there, and he came back and he told the head gardeners here, because it was just forest, bare forest. And he said, I want to develop world-class gardens here, and I want the theme to be tulips. And they looked at the place, and they looked at Swamiji, and they didn't know what to do. They had no experience in it. But Swamiji saw, he said, busloads of people will be coming to see these gardens. He predicted it when there was nothing there. So he drew on a piece of paper. He got the terrace idea from a trip or trips to Bali, and he drew on paper, this is how it should look. And let me just tell you, Swamiji himself only saw the tulips blooming one time in his life. He didn't create it for him. He created it to put that vibration of light and peace and love and all that out to the whole world. And so now we've been open to the public we've been showing the gardens for many years, but now it's been some over a decade plus that we've opened to the public. And now there's like 20,000 people who came last year. Every day now there's 700 to 900 people coming. This is the peak time. I see them. I'm over there. And they come in groups. They come, some people have costumes from their tradition and they take pictures. Some people bring their family. Some people are alone. Some people go in the Moksha Mandir where Swamiji's body rests, and they meditate and they pray there. But it's such a wonderful haven. It's a haven from all the stresses and the worries and the responsibilities that weigh people down. And And I see them come, and some people are, they don't know quite what to expect. Many are brand new, and they come all the way here to Ananda village, and I see their faces just become more and more filled with, what can I say, light? And they just can't believe they've come to a place like this. And so, what are some of the stories from the gardens? I hear the stories because I see the people and talk with them. And one, I remember last year or so, I walked through the gardens, and one lady said, "Oh, do you come here a lot?" And, and I said, "Yeah, I've been here since 1978." And she's, "Oh, God bless you." And she just bowed. She said, "God bless you for having a place like this in the world." And then another lady came. There's so many touching stories. She came and she had her iPhone, and then she had a big camera. This was today. One of the staff told me, and she was taking pictures. I mean, there's 21,000 tulips there. She was busy. And then she saw one of the head gardeners, and she said, I came here to take pictures, and I brought my camera, and I've got a good iPhone, and I'm taking pictures." And she said, "But I, I feel like I shouldn't take pictures because the flowers are touching my heart." Isn't that beautiful? And she stopped taking pictures and she just started crying. The flowers are touching my heart. Now, you got to think behind the flowers, there's much more than a flower. There's a blessing, there's a vibration, there's a cleansing, we don't know people's lives, what they've gone through. Maybe somebody who's in the hospital is close to them, maybe they have some terminal disease, maybe they have a relationship problem, maybe they have a finance problem. But it seems like to me they leave all that outside, and then they come in and they just take a shower of love in Divine Mother. And one little boy, I told this one last year, is a little special needs kid, and he came with his school, and all the kids are with the teachers. And the little boy, he looks at the teacher and he just says, "Just don't know how happy I am." It's just so touching. And, I think it's master's vibration that's blessing them. And they met a man, he had lost his leg in an accident, one of his legs, and he just said, "This happened to me, but I'm just happy in myself. I'm so happy I could come." It's very touching. And then we saw Davy G and I were walking up the stairs there by the flowers, and there were two policemen coming down, and we said, "Oh, good morning, officers. Can we help you?" "Just coming to see the tulips." It's so sweet. These big burly guys, just coming to see the tulips. And then this other friend told me there was a man who he couldn't say anything good about Ananda. He was his chiropractor, and every time he would go to town and get an adjustment, the man would be saying, yeah, those people there, you people, and well, what is a cult?" And he would go on and on. I know why the guy kept going to him. So finally, the man comes out to springtime at Ananda, and he goes around the gardens. It takes, a little time to get around all the gardens and all the flowering trees, and it's an astral heaven. So the guy, he sits down on the step after he's gone through the whole gardens, and he sits there for a long time. And then afterwards, he told my friend, he said, "I'm just, I don't have anything but good things to say now. I have seen it and felt it myself, what Ananda is." And you see that in people, it just is, it's so beautiful. And one last story I heard of a man he was riled up. He was upset because he was, and isn't it interesting that nobody's shouting at anybody out there? Nobody's cursing. Nobody's saying, get out of my way or move over or, it's just heaven. I'm telling you. So this man said that the staff told me that he had had some problems with registering, getting his ticket online. So he was upset about that when he got to the registration table. So he was, he wasn't kind to people. He was kind of, oh, you aren't organized and whatever he said. And it wasn't nice. It wasn't kind at all. And so the person said, well, we're sorry and please go in and enjoy. And so he went in and he went around. These stories are so touching. He came back out and he just apologized. He said, I'm just so sorry. And, it just makes people, it reminds them of who they are. They're not this angry person or this worried person or this domineering person or this hateful person or, I mean, there are all kinds of people you see walking through there. And the one thing that everybody has is a smile. They're all happy. So I want to close with these words of Master. And he says here, the majority of the innumerable astral entities, whom we might call nature spirits or devas, thrive on love and give us more energy if we offer them our love and appreciation. If they feel unloved and ignored, they withdraw in much the same way people do when their expressions of goodwill are misunderstood. The more love we give out, the more all things respond, reciprocating our feelings with harmony and abundance. And two more brief ones from Master. All nature that we behold is the mother aspect of God, because in nature we find beauty, gentleness, and kindness. The flowers, the birds, and the beauties of nature all speak of the mother aspect of God. And finally, plants, Master explained, have a degree of consciousness. Above all, like every sentient being, they respond to love. God bless you all. And Natindra, I'll ask you to join me on the screen now.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. We have a few questions. The first one, Dhyanaji, is that why is it that we all, and you also told stories about that child, and especially children, we feel so joyful in nature? So is there something beyond the physical aspect of the trees and the flowers that attract us?
Well, I think I spoke about that a little bit, but I think God is always trying to get through to us. We might see something in nature and we go, oh, how beautiful. Then we tend to forget and, go to work. Or we might feel something like what I was describing, seeing the stars and the creatures. There was even a bear over here. Luckily, I didn't see the bear up close, but there was a bear. There are mountain lions here. But I think that God is always trying to speak to us, but we don't listen. We're too busy. And so children are more open and receptive, and they're more interested. They're curious. They don't have a job to go to every day where it's, stressing them out. And so I think that part of us has to be brought out again. Um, Being in nature helps you to do that. Being with people who are more in nature. I mean, meaning going out in nature. Like I know sometimes we go to different beautiful places with the pilgrimages. That also like we go to Puri. There's beautiful beach there as well, and up in the Himalayas to Babaji's cave, and so I think we need to address that and be more in nature. Just go to the park across the street, or when you take a vacation. don't go to a place where it's just all in the city. Try to go somewhere that's outside of the city, that's in nature. And you'll find that you just start appreciating it more. I have plants all throughout my house. I have plants on the balcony. I talk to the plants. I give the plants love. There are experiments with plants that you give them love and they grow. You play beautiful music and they grow. You play heavy metal or heavy whatever music and they get stunted. And so there's a lot to it. I think we have forgotten that aspect of ourselves that children have of wonder, of curiosity, of attunement to God and nature.
you, Dhanaji. The next question, Dhanaji, is that I live in a city and I do not have frequent access to nature. So how can I spend more time in nature away from the typical distractions of social media and television and so on?
I think you should shut down the television, honestly. If all you're going to do is watch films on nature, that's eliminating a whole lot. So I would say you have to put out the energy to do it. As I said, I grew up in Los Angeles. I could have stayed in the house watching TV all the time, but we got out of there. We were going crazy. We had to get out of there. And I live in Delhi. Now I go to the park across the street. I go to the Lodi Garden. I go wherever I can. But you have to want, what I'm saying, you have to want to. You have to disconnect from the busyness of everyday life and say, no, I'm going to go and recharge myself in nature. And there's usually a park somewhere nearby. I mean, really, honestly, isn't people don't have, there's not that much of a limitation of parks. And go out for a walk in the morning or in the evening. Get outside, take some deep breaths. You see what I'm saying? Or the other thing I love to do is swim. And getting in the water is just so purifying. If you can, well, I think first you have to learn how to swim. I know a lot of people don't know how to swim, but boy, if I can have, I have a stressful time, if I can get in the water, I remember the beginning of our work here in Gurgaon, there weren't any other teachers. People had moved down to Pune. I was giving like 7 classes every weekend, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, the satsang. And it kept going on and on. By the end of that, it was like steam was like coming out of my ears. All I could do was find the swimming pool and it was like steam coming out of the water. But it just really helped me. So it's not what I'm trying to say, it's not a luxury. Just do it. You can do it. And if you don't, you find yourself getting imbalanced. That's what I've seen with people. They're just on the computer and then they're a nervous wreck, you know. But if you balance out, get exercise, breathe, you know, go outside. And then you'll find that you're more mentally balanced. You might think you won't have problems, but I've seen people later on in life, they do have problems, mental and physical.
Thank you, Dhanaji. Just one last question you did mention
Okay.
about it as well. So why did Swamiji create the gardens at Ananda Village, Dhanaji?
I think he had a memory of the astral worlds, and I think he wanted to create that for us to remind us of the beauty of the love, of the colors, of the scents, and the smells of I think all the flowers in the gardens and that carpet of flowers that from the cherry blossoms. That's what I think. I mean, I look at that and I go, I remember it. Instead of just, you know, I remember my job. I mean, these things are fillers, but if you say, oh, I remember, and you go to a beautiful waterfall, you're not thinking about your boss at work. You go, oh, how beautiful. It's uplifting, isn't it? It uplifts you and it reminds you that there's much more than what we see around us in our everyday lives. That, I mean, there's so many other galaxies and planets, and we're just stuck in the house with a TV screen. It doesn't make any sense. And so I think he did it with love and joy as a reminder that there's hope. There's love in this world. There's joy. Divine Mother is trying to reach out to us. If we listen, if we try to tune into her, if we call to her, uh, I think we will feel her response. And I'll say one last thing that, as I said, I love plants. And I had this champa plant on my balcony, and it wasn't growing. And I went out there one day and I said, listen, yeah, I talked to my plant. If you're not going to grow, I'm going to have to take you away. You'll have to show me that you're going to grow. Next day, there's a shoot. It said, don't take me away. I want to be here. Now that's tuning into nature, just attuning yourself intuitively instead of cutting nature off. And as you do, you'll find that God hears you and you're hearing Divine Mother more, and nature is responding to you. So thank you, Natindra. I know we have, for people who can stay, one final 2-minute video, right?
Yes, Dhyanji.
Okay. This is of the Crystal Hermitage Gardens. God bless you all. Thank you, Natindra. Thank you, everyone.